You know that feeling, right? You set a big goal. You're going to exercise more, eat healthier, finally finish that huge project. But then a few weeks go by and you're right back where you started. It's so frustrating, and we've all been there. In this explainer, we're going to dive into the science of why our best intentions so often just fizzle out, and we'll look at a surprisingly simple strategy to bridge what's called the intention-action gap. So let's just get right to the heart of it. Why aren't good intentions enough? We all have them. So what is the deal? What gets lost in translation between what we want to do and what we actually do? To really figure this out, we have to start by understanding the type of intention we're all super familiar with, the one that really kicks off this whole frustrating cycle in the first place. So in the world of psychology, they call this a goal intention. It's that classic big declaration of purpose. I intend to achieve X. It's the what, right? It's the end result we're aiming for.
And look, we do this constantly. I'll exercise more. I'm going to eat healthier. I'm finally going to quit smoking. These are all perfect examples of goal intentions. They feel really powerful when we say them, don't they? But, and this is a big but, there's a problem.
Research shows that people only manage to turn their good health intentions into actual action about 53% of the time. Just think about that. That is basically a coin flip. It means almost half of our best plans just disappear into thin air. And that right there perfectly captures the problem we're talking about. It has a name, the intention-action gap. It's that huge, frustrating canyon between what we say we want to do and what we actually, do. So why does this keep happening? Well, studies point to two main roadblocks. First, a lot of the time, we just fail to even get started. We forget, we miss the perfect window of opportunity, or we start having second thoughts. Or maybe we do get started, but then we get totally derailed. Distractions pop up, old habits creep back in, or we just get into a bad mood. The bottom line is that big, vague goal intention, it's just no match for the chaos of real life. Okay, so if that standard "I will do this" plan is kind of broken, what's the alternative? Well, it turns out there's a really simple but incredibly powerful strategic fix. The whole secret is about making a tiny shift in our thinking. We need to move from that fuzzy, I intend to achieve X, to something way more concrete. If situation Y happens, then I will do Z. This little shift, it's the game changer. It moves you from a wish to a real plan. This is what's called an implementation intention. Just think of it as an if-then plan. What you're doing is linking a very specific trigger, a cue from your environment, with a very specific action. The key here is that you're deciding what to do ahead of time, which basically automates your response when that moment actually hits. And the best part? Making one is super easy. First, you start with your main goal, right? Let's say, I want to eat healthier. Then you have to pinpoint a critical trigger. That's your if part. This can be a time, a place, even a feeling. And finally, you specify exactly what your action will be. That's the then part. So for instance, instead of just vaguely saying, I'll avoid junk food, you make a super precise plan. If I start thinking about my favorite high-fat snack, then I will immediately ignore that thought. See, you've preloaded the decision. You've literally given your brain a script to follow automatically. I love how the researchers who came up with this idea put it. You're basically using a conscious act of will right now to create an automatic action for yourself later. You're setting a clever little trap for your future self to fall into the right behavior. It's brilliant. So we know this psychological trick is powerful, but to really understand why it's so necessary, we need to geek out for a minute and look under the hood at what's actually happening in our brains, especially when our motivation system starts working against us. Okay, so in a healthy, well-functioning brain, you have these things called dopamine D2 receptors. The easiest way to think about them is as the brake system for your cravings. When they get activated, they set off a chemical chain reaction that basically tells your brain, hey, we're good here. You can turn down the signals that make you feel hungry. And the result? Your appetite stays regulated. Simple. But here's the catch. Constantly eating those super tasty, high-fat foods, well, it can actually wear out this system. It's like slamming on your car's brakes over and over again. Eventually, the brake pads wear thin. Your brain physically changes. It starts reducing the number of these D2 receptors, and the ones that are left become less sensitive. Your brakes start to fail. So what happens when that brake system is shot? The whole chemical process flips. With fewer D2 receptors to put on the brakes, those appetite-stimulating signals go into total overdrive. Your brain isn't just letting you eat more at this point, it is actively pushing you towards compulsive behavior. It creates this vicious biological cycle that pure willpower often stands no chance against. Okay, so knowing that our own biology can sometimes be working against us, how do we actually put this simple if-then plan into action to effectively fight back? And this brings us right back to the main takeaway. These implementation intentions are so powerful because they're basically a cheat code for your brain. They give you that preloaded script to run. You create a new automatic mental shortcut, which lets you bypass the need to burn through your limited willpower or fight against a haywire reward system in the heat of the moment. It's really just a clever way of using your thoughtful planning brain to outsmart your impulsive automatic brain. So the real question isn't just what you want to achieve, it's how you're going to handle that critical moment when it arrives. So think about it. What is the first if-then plan you're going to make?